my friends, when all the time they long to persuade you from my side. They give the world on their own, but just one moment we have gone.
And it's like, I'll never know. But he says things, and I'm like, what? Oh boy. Well,
Yeah, we're coming over. Oh, that's perfect. Your rose matches your top.
It is instinctual.
No.
Louder.
what?
On behalf of our Lawyer Cider Foundation, I'd like to welcome you all and to introduce Dottie Wilson, a local artist who lives right behind the library, a longtime neighborhood resident, and who is got a really nice collection of her collages and constructions downstairs. Our Lawyer Cider has been promoting local artists and trying to keep alive a place where we can show our artwork in our neighborhood where we live. So without much further ado, I'd like to introduce Dottie, who can tell us about her work.
Thank you. Chris. Good afternoon. I'd like to thank each and every one of you for coming in the middle of a heat wave on the 50th anniversary of the moon landing. Science. Thank you for coming to my art talk about the exhibition located downstairs. Due to logistics, this talk and the pieces on display couldn't be in the same space. So I've handed out double-sided color diagrams for you to look at when I discuss the individual 8 pieces. There will be a small Q&A and reception, but feel free to have light refreshments and snacks at any time. And I don't know if there's anyone, I thought there might be some kids here. If anyone's unfamiliar with the definitions I'm using, I think you're adults and you'll know what I'm talking about. Okay, moving on. I'm extremely happy and honored to be having my Meows, Memories, Boxes, and a Book Show here at New York's very first public library, which is a landmark, the Ottendorfer, which is a landmark building built in 1984. 1884, thank you. And I am extremely grateful to Kristen Kuehl and Caroline Ratcliffe and the enormously helpful staff of the New York Public Library, especially Juan and Samantha, who helped me install everything on top of those tall bookshelves. I'd also like to thank Susan Young, my videographer, who is being paid. We do not work for free. We're part of the movement. And also East Village Meat Market for providing a nice platter, complimentary. Okay, 5 of the 8 pieces of artwork on display downstairs are about an easy reader children's book published in 1963 called Cat in the Box by Dana Michelle, the author, and Rosalind Welcher, illustrator. The story is only 58 words long. And the following is a reader review I found online that pretty much sums up what the book's all about. This is one of the most charming books ever for reading to a young child or teaching them to read. The story goes backwards and forwards from tiny to huge, with a box on a chair, in a room in a house, on a street with 5 trees, in a city, in a country, in a world, and then back down again. Wonderful feeling of adventure, as the back and forth trips get faster and more simplistic each time, and finally ending with, and now go to sleep.
That's 111 words.
I don't remember the go to sleep part. And then there was this comment from another reader. This book gave me my first existential crisis. I've had this now out of print hardback forever, but unfortunately it was damaged in a 2-alarm fire. Anyway, after moving 7 times over the course of a year, I finally moved back into my apartment with a box of smoke-damaged stuff I managed to salvage that I didn't quite know what to do with. But if I recall correctly, the recycling movement in New York City was starting to take hold around this time, and that might have influenced me to repurpose whatever I could into art. Even though I could barely draw a circle, still can't, and I never went to art school, I had the raw materials and plenty of free office supplies with which to make a collage. I always liked doing decoupage when I was little, and it felt good to cut things out with scissors. As an adult, my other art supplies included glue sticks, spray paint, a stapler, a staple gun, nail polish, and scotch masking and packing tape, though I did go through a brief glue gun phase. I also thought back to something I once saw at a museum by an artist named Joseph Cornell. It was a pretty white bird in a brown wooden box frame and with other cool stuff added. He was a self-taught artist who made and used containers and boxes to create the most magical, surrealistic artworks called shadow boxes. After scavenging several empty wine crates and cigar boxes from local merchants, I began to make my own constructions and multi-dimensional shadow boxes. Elements of Feng Shui, a somewhat fussy yet helpful Asian philosophy, or OCD, that I picked up in Singapore where I used to live and work, were incorporated into several of the pieces, and I always used to try, at least in the beginning, to add one heart reference in any piece of art I made. Making art was incredibly therapeutic, and it took my mind off things like my cat dying and her body getting taken away without my knowledge or permission, and the brutal and relentless litigation I endured for 10 years in housing court, civil court, Supreme Court. Just hearing the phrase, order to show cause, puts me into a panic. Carolyn, you are my witness. And that's where this comes in. Panic. Cat in the Box Big. For the largest piece in this exhibit, Cat in the Box Big, I wanted to preserve and enshrine the book cover, which is an illustration of a cat wearing a blue bow, sitting in a pink and green box on a light pink background. The cat has inquisitive eyes. The front cover is glued onto various paper backgrounds, which are decorated with fake flowers, cat toys, junk jewelry, and pink tinsel. On the lower left, I pasted on a section of text from the book. Cat in the Box, where in the world are you? The cat pictured on the book cover appears perplexed to begin with, and now is trapped inside a bland and vacuous circle of nothingness, surrounded by a multicolored jungle within an abnormal and surreal macrocosm. To the right of this environment are two exposed strips of film from my grandma's antique camera. One of them used to have mysterious instructions and symbols. These rolls of film used to be a lovely dusty rose color, but have totally faded over the years, like most everything else in Cat in the Box Big. It used to be more pretty. The gold, gaudy bamboo frame was found in the trash. The next piece is Cat in the Box Small, a collage. I had initially set out to make just one large piece of artwork about a small educational bedtime book, but I ended up with a series of 5 pieces. Cat in the Box Big had babies. For this firstborn one, Cat in the Box Small, I centered the book's inside cover page on top of a bright green background. In this illustration, the cat no longer appears worried. It looks happy and isn't hiding its tail. Using scraps from an old cat toy, I gave Kitty a small strip of dark pink ribbon and a little square of light pink suede with fringes to play with. After adding a cutout of a pretty tulip from a magazine and 2 gorgeous fake emeralds, I glued everything together with silver and green glitter. Note, I no longer use glitter. It's a microplastic that does not decompose and is hazardous to marine life and destructive to our oceans, waterways, and environment. Also, most of my frames come from the garbage. They get quarantined and then cleaned. I frequently embellish the top, sides, and the corners of the frames with pieces of recycled jewelry, rocks, coins, shells, glass, you name it. But not for this one. For this collage, I made my own frame using those wooden paint stirrers that they give you for free from paint shops. I saw them down and staple gunned them together. Next piece, cat in the box in context, a shadow box. For this piece, I cut and ripped out illustrations of the cat located in geometric surroundings and montaged them inside a rectangular wooden wine box, a Pinot Grigio, my mother's favorite. While the cat in the lower drawing appears sad, the upper illustration encourages to enjoy life and play, as does a string of pearls dangling from the top of the box. In the center of the box is a summary of our little story by the publishers of the book. I do believe it's a smidge sexist by today's standards. This is almost a poem, almost a folk song, and very much like the games and chants children invent themselves. The young reader will be caught up in the irresistible rhythm it offers him, a remarkable reading experience, magic created in some 58 words. I glued the promotional text onto another section of the cool colored film leader that I used in Cat in the Box Big, and added 2 aqua flashes of fur from old cat toys. You can't see it in the photo in the handout, but located on the outer left of this box are 10 light purple watercolor paw prints on white paper from my very first East Village cat, Darla. She was the sweetest dear and lived a nice long life. Though one of my cats died from smoke inhalation in the fire, Darla escaped and got out. You can see a video I made of her in the early 80s about her and the kooky, kind cat lady I adopted her from on YouTube, called Controversy, Leah and Friends. Music by Prince. I could never show it to a wide audience when I made it because she would have been totally evicted.
This is Alice, and I got Alice from Leah Dubinsky. Alice was in the bedroom.
This is a big black and white one. Come here.
And when I took her, Leah Dubinsky gave me all the papers, and she said that the cat had an ear mite problem. She gave me these pills, and she gave me a lot of advice. She talked my head off.
And this is not a bad looking cat. Sort of a gray job.
Then it turned out that Alice had like a terrible, benign tumor or growth or something in her ear, and she had to have an operation.
If you like black and white, I have an even bigger, more impressive one in the other room.
And it cost about $800 to fix her, which was unexpected. And I called Leah, and Leah said, "Oh, it's so terrible. Let me send you some of my money." And she was so concerned. Call me back, call me back. And
Now this one is very photogenic.
she takes a real interest in the pet she gives you, and she always remembers everybody.
Maybe you remember him. I think I had him. I had him for 6, 7 years. This one just dumped on me. He had 3 operations, so this is why I can't get him adopted.
So we show all her toys now?
Leah Dubinsky. She hates me. I swear she hates me.
I think you're right, so this is a tortoise shell.
She's just an old lady who lives down there in the East Village somewhere who has a house full of cats, and she puts advertisements up all around for adoption and care, loving homes, etc., etc.
This is a wild one, this one here to my left, but she's a sucker for NutriCat.
I adopted a cat from her. It ran away. It was not my fault. Unfortunately, I made the stupid mistake of calling calling Leah Dubinsky once again 2 months later after the first cat had run away. Not my fault, not my fault. Anyway, she wasn't having any of it, and she likened me to a murderer and said that basically if cats were humans, I should basically be taken away to jail and executed for murder.
Hello, I'm Darla, and I just want to say that I'm really hungry right now and a little bit aggravated about all this nonsense about Leah Dubinsky. To set the story straight, I just want to say that if it wasn't for her, I would have never found this nice home.
And there were these four little creatures that were about half the size. They looked absolutely dead. Wet, cold, and no life, nothing. They followed me on their money.
I probably would have had a terrible life if it wasn't for her. And I just think she's the best thing around since canned cat food.
Want a beer?
Meow, 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 meow.
Okay, bye-bye. Bye. Bye.
There's no place like home. There's no place like home.
The next piece, Cat Sweet Pea, is a shadow box. This simple glass encased shadow box features a precious smoke-damaged page of 6 little kitty cats, all by themselves, doing what comes naturally throughout everyday stages of life, in a box. One of them washes its whiskers, another is stretching, one cat is sleeping, and I do believe someone is using a litter box. Now, because I accidentally spilled red wine on this page, I believe it was a Cabernet, I added a similarly colored flower and a shiny heart that I cut out of fabric from yet another cat toy. On the lower right is the one and only drawing I've ever made that I didn't hate. I Xeroxed it onto a blank section of an aged page from the book. It's Petunia, my extremely loud Siamese seal point, who also lived a good long life. Semi-precious jewels and one green marble join her inside an exquisite wooden box enclosure made by my neighbor and the owner of Mascot Studios and Framing, Peter McCaffrey. Cat book back. Lodge. Yes, turn the page. Here we go again. That's my Reagan attempt. With my grandma's old film reader. This time, it's dividing the book's damaged and unattractive back cover and one chaotic page from our bedtime story. On the right is a drawing of the cat peeking out of the box. On a fancy chair, spinning around, who knows where in the universe. To the left are a boy and a girl reading big blue books. In the silhouette behind them, these children look creepy and disturbing. I added tiny cutouts of drawings and text from the book. In that room, there is a chair. On that chair, there is a box. This weird piece of artwork sadly also contains glitter and has a boring black and glass frame with turquoise, crystal, and disassembled parts of costume jewelry. It used to be slightly more exciting before the bracelet on the left, as seen in the photo, disappeared. I have no idea what happened to it. And that's it for the cat in the backs, those 5 pieces. Liberty Girl Gardens. Shadow box collage assemblage combination. This all started with a discarded hunk of metal junk left on my roof by Time Warner. Then came a tiny white plastic doodad from where I do not know. Somehow these 2 pieces of garbage got together and became a person with a hat. I had a pretty floral printed greeting card box from Italy, lined it with a page of leaf patterned stationery from Japan, and put the creature inside its new home. It looked like it could become a farmer, so I glued on some arms. One is a fragment of white coral, the other holds a bright green pear. We have a tiny wicker basket of ceramic fruit and are standing on top of a regal pedestal, which is a piece of discarded styrofoam. We are bejeweled and dressed up. Tiny mother-of-pearl birds fly to the left and right of our head, and there is additional pageantry and junk in the altar above the box. All that's needed is the garden and a farm. Behold, quadrants of repurposed paper and a floral plastic bag from Istanbul. Also included are one wishbone, a silver spoon, a wooden ruler with a picture of farm animals, 2 nuts, a silver heart, purple rose, strand of pearls, 2 pink and green symbols, a tiny diagram of the brain, and 2 sets of gorgeous green glass leaves. Found frame. Turquoise flames. Photo montage / assemblage. The 5 photos in this photo montage do not paint a pretty picture or story. On the lower left is a photo of my black cat Ebony walking past an open cabinet containing cheerful red, white, and turquoise boxes, several from Tiffany's. Also inside was a sturdy white metal box that I used to keep old love letters in. The photo on the right is of the same cabinet, only after my fire, totally burnt and minus my cat and beloved pet. Next to the photo of Ebony on the left, and glued onto the frame, are the gold scripted words, beloved pet, on a black satin ribbon. In the upper left is a black iron outline of an old maid carrying a bucket. It used to be a cheerful yet tacky stained glass window decoration in my kitchen. It now sits on top of a picture of my ruined kitchen walls. Instead of colorful sections of glass, we see ugly black streaks of smoke and water damage. I suppose she represents me. I was working long hours in Istanbul when my fire happened, and there's no water in that bucket. Note the red and white Turkish moon and star reference beneath her foot. Throughout the rest of this disaster in a morbid found frame are black and red punctuations of chaos and damage, malfunctioning wires and electronics, cremated books and cat toys, a black apartment building, a heart with a skull deep inside, prying eyes, a light reflector. Here's a photo of my cremated bookcase. Yet situated on a turquoise jewelry bag from Tiffany's, a tiny fireman raises his arm in victory. End of story. Here is the box, metal, and I turned it into a shadow box called Cornell Knowledge.
Yeah.
And I have some additional information about this particular piece over here, if anyone's interested. Here, pass these around. But look at it later, I'm not done yet. Any moment now. Turquoise 2. Assemblage. Turquoise 2, which I made an entire decade after Turquoise Flames, features a background of bright blue paper from Tiffany advertisements that I ripped out of magazines. The one photo in this piece is of the 2 cats I adopted after the fire. Petunia, my Siamese, is in the forefront, and Tiffany, who I did not name, is in the background. She's black and sitting inside a box from Tiffany's. My little girls are surrounded by floral, multicolored hearts, splashes of red, green, gold, and blue, a turquoise skull, semi-precious jewels, and a big red rose. Lastly, I'm sorry it's not pictured in the handout, but to the upper right of this found frame, I added a white ceramic angel with diamonds in her eyes, playing a violin, looking down from heaven above. You can see her downstairs, on top of the bookshelves. I'd like to thank you for coming. For more information about my other work, exhibits, and insane life, check out my bio downstairs and the massively detailed links on the Meows, Memories, Boxes, and a Book Facebook event page. I love this place too much. Hi, Garrett. It's an honor to have had this event in the East Village at the Ottendorfer Library, New York City's very first public library. Thank you, Kristen. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, East Village Meat Market, for the complimentary platter. And to the New York Public Library, peace and love to all cats everywhere, especially Elvis, Socks, Lily, Swampy, Tiger, Darla, Ebony, Tiffany, Petunia, and I'm down to one, Bernadette. Bless the New York Fire Department. Let's take a brief break, and then I'll try to answer any questions you might have. Thank you very much.